Okay, the mayor's called the meeting to order. So on the roll call, Councilmember Aloya. Here. Councilmember Calandrillo. Here. Councilmember Erin Delaney.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Here.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Here.
Okay, we have 5 ayes, which means a quorum is present for this regular meeting of the Garfield City Council, which is being held today, which is Tuesday, October the 22nd, 2019. This regular meeting is being held in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided by mail, facsimile, and email to the official city newspapers and to other interested parties, and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin boards in City Hall. If everyone would please rise, we'd like to begin with the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. We'd like to have a short prayer. And ladies and gentlemen, in a few moments, we will have a presentation to our fire official. So we believe it's appropriate to read the firefighter's prayer. When I'm called to duty, God, whenever flames may rage, give me strength to save a life, whatever be its age. Help me to embrace a little child before it is too late, or save an older person from the horror of that fate. Enable me to be alert, to bear the weakest, to hear the weakest shout, and quickly and efficiently to put the fire out. I want to fill my calling and to give the best in me, to guard my neighbor and protect his property. Amen.
Amen.
Right. Is there a motion to approve the reports of the cabinet as presented orally and in writing during the work session held earlier this evening?
Motion.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Aloya.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Calandrillo. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Erin Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
There's 5 ayes. Want to do a quick presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we'd like to call forward Mr. Tommy Simpson, the president of the Bergen County Fire Prevention Association, to make a special presentation to Gerald Wallace. Let's give him a nice warm welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me okay? Yes. I'm president of the Bergen County Fire Protection and Prevention Association, and my job as the president is to keep this very strong organization, which is the largest in the state of New Jersey and the strongest in the state of New Jersey, to keep it going. And this is Mike. Good to see you. Why don't you go first? Good friend of mine back there. It's my duty to keep this organization going, making it the forerunner in the state of New Jersey. And part of that process is we try to honor our fellow firefighters. It's a tough job out there, very hard. We're underfunded, we're understaffed, we don't have the proper equipment, but still, in my end of the business, we are the people that are responsible to make sure that all the businesses, the homeowners, the apartment houses, the stores, are protected from fire. And this is where Jerry comes in, and his staff of inspectors are running search checks back there. Any other inspectors in the room? You got a whole bunch of them, that's great. The chief, you want to come up, chief? You can come up. It's our job to make sure it's our job to keep everything safe. Jerry, I've known Jerry now probably 25 years. I used to work in the city of Passaic. I retired from Passaic and moved on to Montclair State University, but I've kept in touch with Jerry, kept in touch with Ronnie, and various other people from this town that I know. And it was an honor to receive the paperwork to nominate Jerry. Ronnie Surchek submitted the paperwork. There was a technical destruction bomb, if you want to call it, and I dropped the ball. And because I dropped the ball, that's why I'm here today. We did a somewhat small remembrance for him at the meeting that we had 2 weeks ago, and I promised him I would come here tonight at the meeting, so that you guys, you councilmen, know how good your firefighters are, how good your fire prevention bureau is doing, under the leadership of Jerry. I mean, outside of myself, and I'm the fire marshal in Harrington Park, Jerry's second to me. And I've been doing awards and plaques for 25 years, and I never got one. So Jerry, next year. It's the time I get something, it's a long time coming. But Jerry, I want you to come up here. Great guy, he fills in the uniform like how many of you had so far? Fourth, I'm on the fourth, because how many years you have?
39.
39.
No, 43. 43.
Well, I got you beat 50. You're not a young guy. But Jerry, you really are the individual who exemplifies
He's just a fire inspector,
the fire marshal in the state of New Jersey.
but he nominated him.
You do the job. You don't take any crap from anybody. It's cut and dry, black and white. It's the way it is. I can't deviate from the code. And that's what we want. And you are the one who wants it. You are the one that we're all gonna look up to and say, Jerry's doing it, why can't we all? You got a great fire chief, he tells me a lot of things about you. Your other members, they spoke to some of them tonight, they have nothing but nice things to say about you. And because of that, and because of your hard work, and because of the persistence of Ronnie back there to get you this position, and we tried to do it last year, it didn't work, but we got it this year. So, on my behalf, as a member and president, I showed you the one I was going to do, but I like this one better. This is suitable for framing on the desk, and it says, the Bergen County Fire Prevention and Protection Association proudly honors Fire Official Jerry Wallace, Garfield Bureau of Fire Prevention, 2019 Fire Official Inspector of the Year, presented October 9th. That was our dinner. And Thomas E. Simpson, President, and Paul Dansbeck, Vice President. So on behalf of the 189 members, congratulations. No trouble. You know that we'll never see these pictures. People take pictures all the time, they never see them.
No, she works for me. I'll see the
Okay, good.
Jerry, before you make your remarks, I think Fire Inspector Ron Surchak wanted to say a few words.
Mayor, council, members of the public, thank you very much for having us here tonight. I really do appreciate this opportunity to speak. Jerry's the one that got me into this field, and he regrets it, and I know some of you sitting up here probably feel the same way. I never thought I'd end up in code enforcement, and it's been a distinguished honor and a privilege to be a member of this Fire Prevention Bureau for the last 23 years. It's my longest job. It's something I'm very proud of. Everything I've learned in the field of fire prevention and code enforcement has been under Jerry. I just came as a new firefighter into the department, and Jerry is the one that brought me into this field. Pretty much telling me, hey, come make some extra money. We were in the basement of the police station, and I've been with it ever since, working for the state fire marshal's office, and then moving on to other fields. Jerry is an amazing individual. His heart, his soul has always been into this city. Mayor and council, it's a hard position in the fire marshal's office, Fire Prevention Bureau. It's difficult to do our job. It's very hard balancing keeping the public safe versus keeping our elected officials and taxpayers happy. You've been phenomenal supporting us. I can't thank you enough. Nominating Jerry has been one of the greatest honors in my career. Jerry has earned this position. He's worked hard for it. And I owe my whole career and look forward to many more years working for the city of Garfield under his leadership. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. Mr. Simpson, thank you for coming. And congratulations, buddy.
Jerry's got to say a few words.
You guys guys don't mind if I leave it? All right.
I'd like to thank Bergen County Fire Prevention Association and Tommy Simpson for recognizing me for this award. I'd like to especially thank Inspector Ron Serchet and my technical assistant Debbie Schultz for composing the resume and submitting the nomination. Thank all the inspectors and members of the fire department, city hall workers, for taking time for me to receive this award tonight. Been a fire official since 1986. Will still not be here except for the dedicated staff working for me. Debbie, my technical assistant, keep the office together by building inspections, scheduling inspections, answering complaints when I'm not on the road. When I'm on the road. The other departments, such as the building department and the parking secret, all work together to help keep this city safe. When I've received this award, and I've all the departments which assist me. I've seen many changes in the city and the fire code for the past 30 years. Our calls are up, but the active fires are down. Steadily increases each year due to the inspector's efforts. I also thank members of the company who assist me during Fire Prevention Week. Some guys take off from work, help me teach over 3,000 children, kindergarten, through third grade, through the firehouse, and the Board of Ed. Buses come in for us. It's really nice for us. And we just don't teach kids, here's a fire truck, here's a firehouse. We actually teach them how to get out of the building safely, what to do when people are fire. I think they have one of the best programs in the state. I'd also like to thank the Mayor and Council for providing educational tools to teach these children. And finally, I'd like to thank, who's not here tonight, that's Chief Ernie Rollins. He's battling an illness. He's been doing it for close to 25 years. I'm keeping his prayers. Doing a good back to my inspectors. And finally, I'd like to thank my wife, Chris, my daughter, Jennifer, and son, Jerry, for the support of all these years.
Okay, hold on. We'd like to read this resolution, Jerry. Okay, whereas Garfield Fire Official Gerald Wallace was named the 2019 Fire Official of the Year by the Bergen County Fire Prevention and Protection Association at their awards dinner held on October 9th, 2019 at Seasons Restaurant in Washington Township, New Jersey. And whereas Jerry Wallace has been fire official for 32 years, has held various positions in the Garfield Volunteer Fire Department, including as fire chief, and has begun new fire prevention education programs for children and the elderly over his decades as fire official. And whereas Jerry has developed a fire prevention program that has reduced the amount of commercial fires throughout the city through strict enforcement of the fire code. And under his tenure, residential structure fires have also decreased through a dwelling inspection program that calls for all citizens that rent a dwelling to have a fire inspection prior to occupancy. And whereas Jerry has taken on the task of pushing for strict regulations and penalties in dealing with illegal apartments and occupancies, a false alarm penalty program to penalize repeat false alarm offenders, and an Knox-box ordinance for specific structures in the city allowing for easier access during fire emergencies for the fire department, and has advocated for many similar fire prevention programs over the many years. And whereas, through Jerry's hard work and dedication, civilian and firefighter injuries and deaths have been immensely reduced and eliminated. Countless unknown properties have been saved, property values in the city protected, and there are few greater tributes to offer about a person's life than to commend them for saving lives, for enhancing and protecting the quality of life of his fellow human beings, and for making a true difference in the world around them. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Garfield, Bergen County, New Jersey, that Jerry Wallace is hereby congratulated and commended on being justly named as 2019 Fire Official of the Year and for exhibiting an exemplary concern for the life, safety, and property of the people of the city of Garfield, which has made a positive difference in their lives. And be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the city of Garfield, and that a certified and exact copy of this approved resolution also be included in the personnel jacket of Fire Official Gerald Wallace. This resolution is signed by the entire City Council. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
As we are all well aware of what Jerry does, what does he do? For 33 years, we've never seen him. Isn't it terrible that we all can make fun of Jerry so easily? But, right? And he deserves it. No, he doesn't deserve it. Jerry, I want to congratulate you for the thousands of people that are not in this room. Those are the people who didn't have a fire. Those are the people that argued with you, that didn't like your decision because you were strong in your opinion. The thousands of lives, the thousands of little kids that made noise, the thousands of kids that went through your firehouse that are not here, that never made the front page of the paper because nothing went wrong. You're the guy with your department, with all the people that work with you, that constantly go out there and are criticized because you say, no, you can't. And that is probably one of the most difficult things for any official to do, is to go out there and be honest. Jerry, we commend you for your service to the community. We commend you for the years of dedication. And most importantly, we thank you for the thousands of people that are not here because they didn't have a fire. Thank you, Jerry. God bless you. I vote aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Yes, I first want to acknowledge all our firemen who are here in support, the family of Jerry Wallace, who is here, also the county. You know, this is a tremendous award, Jerry, and it was well said. You know what? You don't get pushed around. You always speak your mind, and you do the right job. And I've seen that in different situations. You also serve on our planning board. I don't know if you remember, but I do. I was on the Construction Board of Appeals years ago, and you came in front of that board to represent the city's position, and you did a very good job, and I always remember that. So to you, your 32 years, all the children that you showed the fire trucks to, the programs, and I'm sure there's others that may also be involved. I don't want to slight anyone, but I always remember seeing Jerry there. The programs that you've brought, and I do remember this too. I believe you were a worker for the Garfield Postal Service. And that's when you came to the city of Garfield to be a full-time employee here. And I think it was a great decision. And I congratulate you, and I vote aye.
Councilmember Erin Delaney.
Jerry, I mean, 32 years is quite a long time. I know it's longer than I've personally been alive, and had I not read that this evening on the resolution, I wouldn't have known it. So it's something new that I learned about you, but to be honest, having known you these last few years, I'm not surprised. You've been nothing but dedicated to our city, our residents, and keeping us safe and being an honest man. And I want to thank your family for basically, you're on loan to us, and I know it's not easy on their end, so thank you for sharing him with us. And again, I want to commend you for your hard work and dedication, for being the role model that you are to a lot of our youth here in Garfield. I see one in the audience this evening, my favorite future fireman, little Steven Samanchik. But again, congratulations and thank you for your service.
How do you vote?
I vote aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Yes, Chair. I wrote the resolution for you. I want to know that, all right? So when you take this home, I want you to know I wrote it word for word, pal. All right? And I mean it, Jay. I mean, all kidding aside, Jay, you're a great fireman, great fire prevention. And I love the way you mention everybody that works with you. You know, it's a team effort between, the secretary, I mean, everybody in that department. And the same thing with your fire company. I mean, you have to deal with some of the nuttiest firemen in your company. All right, I'm not going to mention Sudol's name. All right, I'm not going to mention Joe Cicino's name. All right, I'm not going to mention Marcel's name. But just that alone makes you the best fireman ever, dealing with them. I'm telling you, Joe, I don't know how you do it, but you do it. But to see that your family here, your son and your daughter, and your granddaughter. Now, Jerry takes time away from, and his wife, from these 4 members. No, that's not true. He actually takes time away from these 4 people so he could serve our city better. To just think about that. I mean, that right there, Jerry, is a great honor. You know, say something really great about you. You know, especially the new granddaughter. And with that, Jerry, enjoy it. Enjoy your award, because I doubt if the Giants will be getting the awards this year. All right, am I right, Turk? But with that, enjoy. You're a great asset to the city. And thanks a lot for being a good friend. I vote aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Jerry, you know, for the last couple of years, you know, you always heard about Jerry Wallace, the fire inspector. You heard the rumors that Garfield has this crazy fire inspector. And it's true what you said. You know, he says it like it is. So, you know, I get to sit here, and now I get phone calls, you know, almost on like a weekly basis. You know, I got yelled at by the fire inspector. They want me to do this, then they want me to do that. And I sit here and I listen, and I know you deserve this award because you work hard at this award, and you're true to yourself, and you're true to the city of Garfield. And you have one thing, you care for the residents, and you care for what goes on. And when they're calling up and, you know, they don't want to do what you want them to do, and, you know, you compromise with them, you work, but overall, it's about the safety. And, you know, this is what Jerry's about. You know, he's an honest guy, and he says it like it is. And, you know, we're just lucky to have him in Garfield for, you know, we're proud of this award, and we're proud that he keeps Garfield safe. So, Jerry, congratulations, and I vote aye. Jerry, we got.
Can we get a picture with you, Jerry?
Of course. Who am I expecting?
You carry him all these years.
Debbie, you too. Debbie.
Somebody's got to hold the certificate, I guess.
everybody. Thank you very much. You almost got it.
Get the motor on.
Turk, how are you?
I knew it.
I know. Do you want to clear the room and then we'll commence?
No recess, just let him go.
We should have had the mayor and council first, and then had it. It's all good.
Everyone is invited to the firehouse afterwards.
What firehouse?
Firehouse.
No? Across the way?
I thought it was Firehouse Restaurant.
Mr. Surchak,
What
Jimmy Mayer.
firehouse?
which firehouse?
What
Which
firehouse?
One? 4 next door. Right, okay. Mr. Mayor, members of the city council, the balance of the resolutions, 2 and including number 328, have 5 signatures on them, so if there's no objections, I will take one roll call vote on those resolutions. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye?
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso. Okay, we have 5 ayes on those resolutions. We have a resolution authorizing the release of Meridia Transit Crossing, Garfield LLC's performance bond. The resolution is signed by council members Aaron Delaney, Joseph Delaney, and Rigoloso. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya,
Abstain?
Councilmember Calandrillo,
Yes, on this issue, I raised a few questions. And basically, I understand the engineer's position. However, there was loss of water due to the construction. And the loss of water, the city did the repair. We got reimbursed for the repair. However, this leak on the property, because of the developer, because of the construction, was basically costing the city money of lost water. We cannot calculate how much water has been lost over a period of so many months. We are not asking for reimbursement, and because of that, I am voting no on the release of the bond.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Upon the recommendation of our city attorney or city manager, I am voting yes to release it. We're given explanations why it should be released, and I accept both reports from the city manager and our city engineer. I do not want to vote against it just because of the developer. I vote aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 3 ayes, 1 nay, 1 abstention. We have a resolution which sets a curfew for October 30th, 2019, and October 31st, 2019, at 9 p.m. for individuals under the age of 18 years of age, unless they are escorted by an adult. The resolution is signed by the entire city council. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye?
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. That concludes resolutions. Proceed with bills and claims.
Yes.
Resolved by the City Council of the City of Garfield that the following bills, number 2201 to 2202, covering Dog Trust Fund and Dedicated Penalty Trust Fund, Fire Department totaling $716.67, and the current fund totaling $231,035.88, and the Water Fund Reserve totaling $282.25, and the Water Fund totaling $12,873.39, and the Water Capital Fund totaling $2,800.00 per attached computer list be ordered paid, and the proper officers are hereby authorized to issue checks for same, provided that there are funds in the appropriate appropriations. Be it further resolved that the action of the mayor, city clerk, and city treasurer in issuing checks and payments on the ratification list, which includes 27 items prior to the meeting, be ratified. Bills and claims resolution is offered by the entire city council. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Arundellini.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5 ayes. Bills and claims are approved. Proceed with ordinances, Mr. Mayor. Okay, the following entitled ordinance was introduced at a meeting held on October the 8th, 2019. It was duly published. Copies were posted on the bulletin board in City Hall. Copies were made available to the general public, and having complied with the law, this ordinance was not read in full, and the City Council can now proceed with the public hearing and final passage. Bond ordinance to amend Section 1 of the Bond Ordinance, Ordinance Number 2659, entitled Bond Ordinance to Authorize the Installation of Emergency Generators at Various Public Buildings in, by, and for the City of Garfield in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $262,500 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, adopted on July 23rd, 2013. Need a public hearing.
On this ordinance and this ordinance only, would anybody like to come up and speak? I see no hands. Drew?
Okay, on second reading, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Arundellini.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Abstain.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 4 ayes, 1 abstention. The ordinance is adopted. The following entitled ordinance was introduced at a meeting held on October 8th, 2019. It was duly published. Copy was posted on the bulletin boards in City Hall. Copies were made available to the general public, and having complied with the law, this ordinance was not read in full, and the City Council can now proceed with the public hearing and final passage. An ordinance to fix the salary, wages, and compensation of certain officers and employees of the City of Garfield, Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the white-collar collective bargaining negotiation salary ordinance.
On this ordinance and this ordinance only, would anybody like to come up and speak? I see no hands. Drew?
Okay, on second reading, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Arundellini.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Abstain.
Mayor Rigoloso.
Aye.
Okay, we have 4 ayes, 1 abstention. The ordinance is adopted, and that concludes all written items for voting at this time. Mr. Mayor and members of the City
So
Council.
we'll open it up to citizens and taxpayers. You'll have 3 minutes. Use your time wisely, please, because there will be no coming back up after your 3 minutes. Would anybody like to come up and speak?
Good evening, council. We're back here about the parking issue again on William Street.
I'm
Do I
sorry.
need your name and
Yeah,
address?
just your name and address again.
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, you just, even,
It's Contino Ranieri, property owner of 14 William Street, Garfield. I guess my questions would be towards Mr. Dutch. Glasses on here, I'm not going to be able to read. You had said, I guess, 2 weeks ago about the neighbors got together about the complaint about the parking. I just want to address that it wasn't William Street, Union Avenue, or Alaska Street that was part of this. This happened after the signs were put up on Harding Court and Jacob Street. I better read. The tags, all of a sudden, all the cars started parking on William Street, and we didn't know why. And my tenant started complaining about this, and
I went looking around the streets and I noticed that there were signs put up on Jacob and Harding Court. So I saw the police officer that drives around that gives tickets on our street, and I asked him what was going on, why did they have these signs put up, because all the traffic now is coming towards us. And so we weren't involved in this in any way. We didn't know that this was going on. There was complaints on Harding and Jacob. So we had no say in this, kind of. I decided to speak, okay, excuse me, not good at this. At this point, I'm sure whoever made the complaint didn't think about the taxpayers and the landlords on the street. I don't think anybody complained about them, the people that complained about the parking situation on the other two streets. So I just want to know if there's going to be something done about this, if we're going to do something about this. I mean, now we're going to have Passaic Street going on too, so we're going to give these tags out too. I mean, we're kind of limited here. It's like kind of discriminating that a landlord can't park in front of his house. And, you know, I'm just wondering, are you guys discriminating against us? I mean, what I want basically is the ordinance changed. I want you to add to the ordinance landlords, residents, and landlords. This has nothing to do with the commuters parking. We have nothing to do with this. This whole law wasn't put there to hurt the landlords. It was put there to control the parking for the commuters. So this is my question. What are we going to do about this? This is not good. This is not good for me. I'm sure this is not good for other landlords that own homes around these properties. I mean, we are bombarded by Atwater Lane. We have they complained about the commuter parking, but we are bombarded by Atwater Lane parking on William Street and Alaska Street. The VFW, the Ambits are all in front of Henrietta Street and Harding Court, so they don't get all this traffic. They were getting a little traffic, I guess, from the train station, but now we're getting kind of messed up here, because you're kind of telling us how many people could come over our house. They give us 2 tags, but they didn't give us any. They won't give me a tag anymore. I did have tags. When 6 months after they put the signs up on our street, I requested tags. My wife got a tag, I got a tag. Now I can't get a tag, and how am I supposed to shovel snow? I'm not sure about this. I'm supposed to park 3 blocks away to bring a snowblower in? It's a problem. I mean, the other solution would be, we have extra money. I hear that we have maybe some couple $100,000. Can't we build a 2nd floor on that train station parking lot? Put a 2nd level on it? Or could we have 4-hour parking? That would resolve the problem too, 4-hour parking. We have 3 new people doing traffic. That's it. I'm just waiting for an answer if we're going to get tags or not. And I'm requesting that I don't want to have tags unless the ordinance is changed to landlords too, and taxpayers.
Thank you, Mr. Berneri.
Okay.
The questions will be answered at the end of the meeting. That's it. Anybody else would like to come up and speak?
Hello, my name is Elaine Giardino. I live at 109 Marcellus Place in Garfield. Last week, there was a large contingency of citizens who requested a town hall so that the discussion of redevelopment in the city of Garfield could be held for all citizens to understand what the plans are and what's going on in a very broad way. Unfortunately, that meeting was ended without a decision being made, but after the meeting, we found out that 3 council people had agreed to the town hall. Mr. Aloya, Mr. Calandrillo, Ms. Delaney, all agreed. I went up and congratulated all of them on their decision. I really appreciated that. The citizens of Garfield need the opportunity to know what is going on fully, the whole plan for Garfield, especially what's going on Passaic Street. Obviously, the effects around the Plaudeville Station will affect other areas of Garfield as well. We already know those are going to be issues in advance of any redevelopment, and those are things that the citizens should be able to understand and address. Now, we do understand that both Ms. Delaney and Mr. Rigoglioso would not be able to give substantial opinion. I understand that, because they're also on the planning board, but that's not relevant to a decision to hold a town hall for redevelopment where people could discuss and understand what's going on in terms of redevelopment. Also, after the meeting, I spoke with Mr. Ferraro on that specific issue. So my understanding, and I can be corrected if I am incorrect, but just because we hold the town hall doesn't mean that either Ms. Delaney or Ms. Glioso,
Mr. Briggs.
I'm trying to say it as correctly as possible.
That's okay.
Because of planning board obligations regarding the Passaic Street redevelopment. But I did also speak with Mr. Dutch, who had also agreed at that point to be a part of the town hall, and being the town manager and the person who brings in a lot of grants and money and really has been around probably as long as most people have been around and can give us a very clear idea of what is actually happening in Garfield, so he could speak to those. He is not bound by the planning board and any decision related to that. I am still pushing very hard for the citizens of Garfield, all of us, no matter where we live or how long we've lived here, to be aware of what's happening in terms of redevelopment in the city. And I'm asking that you do move forward on having that, and that a decision for the planning board should be postponed. I'm not saying postpone the discussions, because that can go forward, obviously, but any kinds of decisions should be made after the citizens, all the citizens of Garfield, have an opportunity to understand what's really happening and be able to ask questions if they so choose. Their opinions are important. It's very informative to be able to hear what's happening in the different areas, and I paid very much attention to the videos that go up. Even though I can't be here most of the time, I do pay attention to what happens on this board and what you're doing and what you're talking about. And it's important that other people who cannot do what I do, even though I can't be here in person, and I do pay attention to what's happening, there are many people who don't know what's happening in Garfield, and they have a right to know. And they want to know. People have come up here to represent them, to speak on this specifically, to represent numerous other people who have asked them to speak for them, who either speak other languages or who speak, who feel that they don't speak well, or who work multiple jobs, or any number of other reasons why coming here at this time would not work for them. And they have a right to know and participate in the government as well, as citizens and taxpayers. So again, I am requesting that you take a look at that and you speak to that and you hold a town hall for the citizens of Garfield, and that it is part of what the town itself is asking and inviting individuals to come to, that we do a robocall, that we do advertising, that if you wish, you provide snacks to the people who come, you present, you allow people to ask questions and hear what's really going on.
Thank you, Lee. Anyone else would like to come up and speak?
My name is Joan Banas, I'm 20 Hepworth Place. I just wanted to mention something. When people come up and ask questions, many times the questions are not addressed and they're not answered. Even if someone were to say, oh, I heard your question, but I don't know the answer, we'll find out. Some recognition for anyone that does come up. and asks questions. Would be nice to have a response, and if you don't know the answer, to say you don't know the answer is also a response. Last week it was stated, I think at the work session, maybe Ms. Delaney could answer this, about the cable. It was mentioned that we were now going to be shown the meetings on a shared channel, which I think was 76. I don't know if there was 77 or is it 77. I wanted to know if you had any details about how that was going to be accomplished, how we would be viewing it, how will you let the public know that this is going to happen, and what is happening with Channel 77, which is housed at the high school. That's still our channel. I know it's been said that it's too old to use, but I'm not accepting that because it was used in March for the new parking registration instructions. Those are the questions I have about the cable. My other question is, I know we have a new dog park because when I drive through the back entrance of Walmart, I get to see it, and I see people using it, and it was so nice to see it being worked on and finally come to fruition. Was there a grand opening? Was there an announcement about the dog park being opened? I think I'm going to direct this to Mayor. Was there an article in the newspaper? If so, when was it? I must have missed it. And if not, will there be one? I know in Generations for Garfield Mag newsletter, I went through them. I'm missing 2 for the year. I didn't see an article about it. If there was, I just want to know what month, because like I said, I'm missing 2. And I know that the mayor has a newsletter to the general public in Generations for Garfield. I don't think I read anything about it, and I'd like to address that question to the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else would like to come up and speak? I see no hands at this time. I'll open up to council comments. Councilman Aloya.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, with regard to the town hall issue, I think that the recommendation that you made with regard to a Nexel robocall that we put them out for many social events, which is important, but I think this is also very important. Mayor, we have 2 significant meetings happening. One is the planning board meeting on the 24th, which addresses that issue, and the school board meeting on the 29th. My recommendation, and I would be supportive of the cost that it would entail to put these out on Nexel notices and robocalls to generate more input from more people. Whether we agree or disagree, the issue is we need conversation. If we don't have conversation, we lack solution. With regard to the 3 minutes and not being permitted up again, Mayor, that one I disagree with completely, because sometimes there are issues that cannot be resolved in just 3 minutes. With regard to the issue of a bond releasing, Mr. Boswell, I abstained from that because I have a problem with the concept that we can't calculate the water loss. I think that if we know of a period of time when we know it leaked, we shouldn't arbitrarily make up a number, then say, well, it was more than 3 months or 4 months. But from the point in time that we found the leak, the pressure, the flow, and the volume of water is absolutely something we can calculate. That I find not to be exactly the best way of solving this issue. We have a developer who may or may not have inadvertently caused an issue, but at the same token, we have to answer to the taxpayers. I think if you give me the pressure that the water had, the volume of the size of the pipe, and the time frame from when you found it to now, it's something that our water department should be able to calculate the actual cost of that water loss. There's no question in my mind that's doable. With regard to the up-and-coming holiday, on a more light note for Halloween, for the kids, I please and hope that everyone has a safe time. I like chocolate, so if you want to bring chocolates, that's good. I wear my costume every day to all my events. With regard to the dog park, thank you for bringing that up. Mayor, whenever you want, I'll show up for the picture. Whenever you're ready, I'm there. And then we can have a cat park right next to it, which I also recommend would solve a solution to another bigger problem. But we worked really hard. I've got to say that the DPW, Sam Garofalo, all of his personnel, the people that we bought the equipment from, and all of the people that participated, the outside contractors, everybody really wanted it to come out well. And I must say that the company that we purchased the equipment from, it was a solicitation that just came to the city. They actually called us, called me per se, called me to say, would I call another town and give them a recommendation? They wanted to say, it really came out nice. We had other towns and other people from other communities come and take pictures of the dog park. So I must say, the DPW definitely got it right. The entire city did a fine job at creating a place for people to go. With regard to the Willard Street issue, that's something we're gonna have to rely on our professionals to resolve, because I don't actually see the landlord issue going into the ordinance, but that doesn't mean we can't come up with an issue, because you have landlords that own 30, 40, 50 pieces of property. That means that they're gonna have untold numbers of parking. That I think would make it complex, but I think we've got to still address the issue to the best solution that we can come up with. I tried to cover everything. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Calangelo, before you go, I want to have Tom address Mr. Ranieri's questions that was addressed to him first.
Yeah, in terms of your question, all of your questions that you submitted at the last meeting were submitted to Lieutenant Michael Marsh. Lieutenant Michael Marsh provided an email to me, which I forwarded to all the members of the governing body. I'm sorry, no, he sent directly to the members of the governing body, and after that, he forwarded it to me. So I will forward that email to you. I had the opportunity to review it with the governing body this evening, and I'm instructed that they stand with Lieutenant Marsh in his responses. So I will get those responses to you tomorrow.
Councilman Calangelo.
Yes, Mr. Ranieri, I would just ask this. Everything Mr. Dutch said is accurate, based on the information that was provided to us. I would just ask that, Tom, you sit down with Mr. Marsh and Mr. Ranieri once he receives this email, and if he has any concerns or questions beyond that. I think, the gentleman and his wife have been here numerous times, and I think we owe that much. Mr. Giordano, the town hall meeting, I am still supportive of. Obviously, it's not going to happen before the planning board meeting, which is taking place Thursday night, 6 o'clock in this room. But I am fully supportive. I think we need open dialogue. This 3-minute item is a little too short for my taste. I think it should be expanded to at least 5 minutes, the way we did have it. Anyway, that's just my personal preference. As far as the dog park, 1,000%. Mr. Aloya had sent an email out, put a date for the opening. That, not realizing it wasn't going to be 100%, I passed the dog park that afternoon or that morning, only to see Mr. Garofalo and Mr. Aloya there by the bench, and I stopped. So I think the grand opening is very important. One thing we've learned about this city is that pets matter, animals matter, and this is something that we never had, that we do have. Lou gave a lot of effort into this, and I think we would be really not doing our job to recognize it properly for what it all stands for. As far as the cable, I'm going to let our councilwoman elaborate on that, but I would just say this. In my opinion, it's not enough. We will have a station. It'll be on once a week between 3 and 6. I think based on what Verizon is getting, where the meetings are reoccurring, we have use of that channel, we could do it for so much more. I think still the cable vision viewers are not getting what they pay for on the 3.5% deduction on their cable bills. But I'm going to let that go. I did support it. I just think that 2 hours a week a city our size deserves to have our meetings broadcast to one of the largest markets of cable TV. You know, last meeting, there was the ordinance that was defeated, and basically it was an ordinance that was sponsored by our councilwoman, Delaney, and it was said that myself and Mr. Lawyer supported it, first reading, and we all got that cleared. We didn't support it, and she understood that. But it was defeated. It was defeated because 2 votes changed. And the 2 votes that changed were the deputy mayor and the mayor. They were supportive on first reading, but on the second reading, it was defeated. So I just want to let's get things out honestly and state the record. It was also said by our deputy mayor, stating that redevelopment didn't happen before he was the mayor. Now, I know it's said, but it's not true. And if you do the timetable, I'll prove that. Myself and Mr. Aloya went down to Trenton. He was going out as mayor, I was coming in as mayor. We actually went in front of the local finance board with all our attorneys, our city manager at the time, and we were approved on the first opportunity to appear in front of this board. Who was there with us for sessions was the city of Passaic on their second time, and the city of Harrison on their first time. We were approved. We had everything in order, so that's as far back as our redevelopment agency was thought about and started, the early 2000s. Then I have minutes from meetings 2008 about Bridgeland, and also it's New Bridgeland Warehouses LLC. Engineering report, 2007, on the same parcel that we're discussing on Passaic Street. That's where the McDonald's is, that's where all these beautiful places, Applebee's, Walmart, and Burlington. But what was clear was that there was the plan. And the plan was for food establishments, 2. Stores, yes. All right? Parking, trees. If you go through that parking lot, you'll see there's greenery there. There's trees. It's not just all blacktop. That was done with a lot of discussion and a lot of working with community. The back end, when you take Lincoln Place and you see those high trees, it's because we listened to the public. They came, they attended our meetings. They said, what about our privacy? We put those long, tall trees there for their privacy. So the bottom line is, and I certainly remember going to the Applebee's and the ribbon cutting before 2012 when our deputy mayor became the mayor. So to say that nothing happened before, it's totally inaccurate. And I don't want to keep rehashing this stuff, but as long as I hear inaccurate statements, I'm going to correct the record. Because it's said, and look, there are politics, there's politics out there, we're politicians. But the record never changes, and the truth never changes. So I have documents, if anybody wants to see them. I got the report from Boswell Engineering. I got, even at some point, Mr. Dutch was on the Redevelopment Authority in 2015, and he stated, and just to give you another important fact, 2008, 2009, 2010 was the Great Recession. What we did at this facility, we had phases, not because we wanted the phases, it's because 2 guys wanted it. Fernando wanted the phases. They knew what was going on, but they never backed off. They knew that the economy would recover. So sure, we had the Walmart, we had the Applebee's, and then stores came later. But they even said in 2015 at a redevelopment meeting, they stated They're now ready in 2015 to go forward and fill the ready pods. They were basically ready to go. They had the slabs poured, they had electric, they had sewers, they had everything in place. And if you look and you check things, in 2015 is when jobs came back. The economy was flourishing again. So that's what it's all about, simple economics. Not because who was there, in my eyes, we could all grab a piece of glory on what has been accomplished and be proud of it, because it's something to be proud of. Even Garden State Paper, something to be proud of. The taxation, and not one tax break was given to any of these sites. They started paying the right amount of taxes at the right amount of time. So instead of saying nothing happened, let's just tell the truth. And I have documents and reports to back up what I'm saying. I'm not just throwing stuff out there. So that's all I'm asking for, is the truth up here. And also, yes, it was said, when I was the mayor, I served as the mayor and on the planning board, and I served on the redevelopment authority. Yes, I did. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the accomplishments. And I was allowed to do by statute. I didn't break a law. As the mayor, you go down to Trenton, and these people tell you, and the one thing they said to us, always make sure that it's professional and we have a professional as the director. That's their statement to all of us. I wanted to ensure that the right thing was always done with redevelopment, that it wasn't going to be where developers want to build crazy stuff and we got to live with it for the rest of our lives. And we got it right. I really think we got it right. And they contributed. In this report, this is minutes, 2008, we're talking about Fernando contributing $800,000 to the city. All right? $800,000. Some of the talk was about also putting it towards the police station, $500,000. So I'm not making this stuff up. I have documents to back me up. I save records, and I save minutes, and I save all my paperwork. So let's please, if we're going to tell stories up here, let's tell the truth and get it right. I would like to wish everybody a happy Halloween for the children, even though there's not many children. There's no children here. I want to, I went to the Garfield High School football game. It was a difficult game to watch, but I still want to congratulate those players. They represented Garfield. They were undefeated going into that game, and I know they're going to the States, and they're going to represent Garfield in great fashion, and I'm proud of them. Win, lose, or draw, I'm proud of those high school athletes. Not to mention our Garfield Junior Boilermakers. The season's going well. We're not winning as many games as we did in past years, but the kids are learning the sport, discipline, and bonding with their friends, along with all the cheerleaders that are part of this, the same organization, and the parents that bring them there every night. So with that, thank you very much.
Councilwoman Delaney.
Thank you, Mayor. Very quickly, in regards to the town hall meeting, I know that on September 24th, I said that I would be willing and open to having that meeting. However, I do also have an email from our city attorney saying that I may not sit at a town hall meeting to discuss this application. So that's all I'm going to say in regards to that. Joan, your question about cable, we are approved for Wednesdays, I believe, from 3 to 6 p.m. I tried looking for the confirmation email on my iPad, but I couldn't find it. However, I do believe that's when it will be aired. Just a suggestion that I thought of sitting here. Maybe at the beginning of our council meetings, we could announce when the meetings are going to be aired on Cablevision, post it on our website below the video, and on any other means possible. Any suggestions that anyone else might have, please feel free to share, but that's the time slot that we were allotted. As shared at the past council meeting, we could also apply for a second time slot, yet again for free. So if that's the way that other council members or the residents would like us to go, please let us know, and I'm sure our city manager will be more than willing to do so, because again, some investigation and my suggestion, I found this quick, simple, and free fix to getting our meetings aired. So with us being on our website, on Verizon, and now Cablevision, no one can say they don't have access. I know it's not enough to some people, but it's personally enough for me. I know it was about $12,000 or just under, and saving that money pays for almost half of our fireworks display that we're able to bring back to our residents at the start of our term here on the council. And I know a lot more appreciate that fireworks display and go to that fireworks display than they do going on Channel 77 to watch our meetings. So I am more than happy with the solution that we came up with as a team and getting it displayed on Wednesdays from 3 to 6. If someone can't make it, maybe they have DVR, they could view it that way, they could go on our website. But again, I'm fully satisfied with the solution that I worked hard to bring. In regards to the dog park, I have an email back in July. A soft opening was chosen for the dog park, and it was not chosen by tallying or polling the council members on a date that we could all be there, because some of us do work. I know I personally could not go to the soft opening. I have an email from Sam Garofalo at July 5th at 8:18 that the soft opening of the dog park is now open. I said, thank you. When will we be cutting the ribbon? Tom Dutch replied back to all of us July 5th. I'm not sure if anyone cares to know the time, but he said, Councilman Aloya announced at last meeting that he would try to set a date convenient for all. Great idea, I agree. He had wanted to do a photo last Friday, but few county officials were available, so he decided to reschedule. He had done county and other official invites, but asked us to hold off on local invites until he heard back from them. That is the last that I personally heard about a soft opening or grand opening for the dog park. If one is scheduled, great, I would love to be there. I know that in Elmwood Park, I personally drove our mayor because I'm so proud of that park, and I've commended Councilman Aloya countless times on the work that he put in and our DPW has put in, as well as other city officials, because it is a great park and other people should follow it. With that being said, I think that's all I have in response to members from the audience this evening. I do want our city clerk to look into parliamentary procedures. I know that I personally read somewhere that there should be no explanation of a council member's vote prior to voting. So if that is accurate, I'm going to ask that that now be stopped here, and we could save all explanations for the end of our meetings. I don't know if you know the answer offhand. If you don't, can you look into that?
Sure, absolutely.
You
Well,
don't
do you
know
have a question about
Is that accurate according to parliamentary procedures? We are
According to
not-
Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Procedure, that is correct.
Okay, so I know I personally would like to follow that and save all comments on how we're voting for the end of meetings. That's just me personally. Handicap parking, I know that I've mentioned this at the last two meetings. In September, we had 10 applications, and I had brought it up multiple times before that, but other people at that meeting had noticed it as well. So I personally met with 2 officers from our traffic division prior to our meeting this evening. And here in Garfield, we have 283 handicap parking spots. And I know that is an astronomical number, to my opinion. Other people may disagree. I have asked that our attorney look into and provide a report and suggested ordinance for our next meeting on trying to tidy up that resolution. I know I'm personally going to look into the numbers of spots in Passaic and Kearney, because in Elmwood Park, they have under 25 spots. I know we're comparing apples to oranges because our towns are very different. We have very limited driveways here, apartments, et cetera, but I do feel that there's a lot more that we can be doing. I'm not sure exactly what that answer is, because we don't want to burden our residents. But it is something that the traffic division is happy that we're discussing and do feels that we need to address. Also in that meeting, they did express their disappointment. I know Mr. Calangelo briefly mentioned it, that the parking ordinance that I suggested and had our attorney draft up got voted down. I I know when I brought this ordinance up, I opened it to discussion in a work session meeting. It was discussed twice here at public meetings. I was open to suggestions, debates. There were adjustments that were made. And yes, it did get voted down by 4 members. And yes, I was incorrect, as I stated at the last meeting. Thank you for pointing that out yet again. But because of a handful of conspiracy theorists and naysayers and the negativity and accusations that people were alluding to that evening, the deputy mayor and mayor voted no. And I'm not going to lie, at one point I considered voting no because of those reasons. And it's hard when you're trying to do good and then there's just negative that gets brought out. But it was something that I did firmly believe in. And I think that our entire city could benefit from this ordinance. And the traffic division encouraged me to bring it up again, so I will ask that it gets put on another agenda for introduction, because little to my knowledge, they were doing the same thing and doing some research on what Fort Lee and other towns do. So they were very happy to hear that a lot of the work has been done and that there was an ordinance that was already drafted, because it's something that they feel that the entire city can benefit from, and I happen to agree. And, had it passed that evening, it's ironic, but it was effective date October 1st. The so-called Passaic Street development wasn't even voted on that Thursday. So yes, it absolutely would have been included in that ordinance. And the reason why October 1st was chosen is because it was drafted by our attorney. It wasn't because of a date that I had suggested. First, we had January 1st, which raised concerns, and we thought we had addressed those concerns by moving that date up, but apparently that wasn't enough either. With that being said, I want to thank our mayor for bringing up in our work session meeting that there is special needs soccer held on Saturdays here in our city with our recreation department. That was very nice to hear. On October 25th, our YMCA will be holding a Halloween ball, so happy early Halloween to everyone in town. And we also have some trunk or treats. Our Elks is holding one the 23rd, tomorrow at 7, and the Boys and Girls Club on the 29th at 6. And I want to give a big shout out to Steve's Burgers, who was honored last week at our PBI dinner. Very well deserved, but according to Yelp, Steve's is now one of the 20 best burger spots in the entire nation, and his 2 locations are here in Garfield. So that's certainly something to be proud of. With that being said, that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, well, first, just to get the clearing with the town hall meeting. During last week's last meeting, 2 weeks ago, council meeting, I did state twice that I was in favor of a town hall meeting. But being the way that the meeting had ended up going, with being shouted out by members of the audience, by council members, I actually changed my mind, because I could see nothing productive being out of a town hall meeting if we're going to act the same way that we acted at that council meeting. I feel that I got no respect from people in the audience, from council members. Just, it was my time for my comments, but nobody actually listened to them. If they would have listened to them, they would have heard me say that, yes, I was in favor of a town hall meeting. But I was too busy getting shouted at that nobody even heard it. But if you choose to look on the video of the meeting, it is stated that I was in favor of the town hall meeting. Tom, I'd like to thank you for that lengthy report that you gave all the council members with regards to the water meter situation. I hope that clears up all the questions that was asked, and I'm sure it took a lot of time away from your schedule to do that report, and I appreciate it, because you were asked so many times by certain members of the council with regards to that. And you answered the questions once, twice, 5 times, but we still got the report, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time for doing that. And the one we're talking about, Cablevision. I mean, we have a council person here that took time on her own and went and found a solution to a problem that we've been discussing for over a year. over a year, we've been discussing the problem of Cablevision, and we came up with a solution, and yet, nobody says, well, nice job. But we got a dog park where we did say nice job plenty of times, and well-deserved, because you did do a great job. We're kind of being criticized for not having a grand opening, and it was discussed, we did want to have grand opening, because he did do a great job at the park, and our dog park is a fantastic dog park. And I'm game for any grand opening that we have, but we did try to have a grand opening, just didn't happen. I don't know why the mayor didn't write in one of his letters about the dog park. Next time, write in a letter about the dog park, all right? I don't read those letters because they're too lengthy for me, but I'm sure they're good.
Takes me a minute.
I'm sure they're great. And I'm going to start reading those letters from the mayor. All right? I promise you that. Starting the next generation's letter, I'm going to start reading.
I've been working on it for a month.
I was also at the football game for Garfield and Waldwick. And, I was also at the football game the week before that was held in Garfield. And if anybody went to both of those games and seen the difference of both of those fields, both of those conditions of the fields, they'll be on board with me 100% that we got to fix this field over here. Because to see our kids practice and play on this field, and then you go to a away game in Waldwick and you see their field, our kids deserve just as much as Waldwick's kids. And it's up to us here to decide to get it done. So I'm glad that I was able to use both, and I am comparing apples to oranges. They're both football fields, they're both good teams, they both deserve to play on good fields. With regards to what I said with redevelopment, I stand by my statements. I stand by all my statements I mentioned last week. Anybody wants to go to the building department and see when the COs were issued for any redevelopment that we have, be my guest. It's all right down in the building department. Find out when the COs were issued for McDonald's, for River Drive, for the Wawa. Be my guest. They're all down in the building department. And the COs will tell you when they were issued, what the dates that they were issued. I'd like to thank our rec department for we had a fall festival, I think 2 weeks ago it was.
2 weeks ago.
And we had hundreds of kids getting pumpkins for free, or minimum cost, I think it was, but getting free hay rides, free rides on tractor. It was just a great event. The night was beautiful. It was attended by hundreds, maybe thousands of kids and their parents, and it was a really, really nice night. And the way we're able to pay for stuff like this is through the money that we're receiving from redevelopment. That's just the way it is. We've done more events this year than ever since I've been sitting on the council. And the reason why we're able to do it is because we have extra money coming in from redevelopment. And that's why redevelopment is so important, especially to our city. We have an old city, we have to look new, we have to look ahead, we got to look forward. And it's important to have events like that. And an event like that brought the whole city together. There wasn't one negative thing said at that event. It was all positive, it was great, and it was just a really nice night. With regards to the mayor, with the 3 minutes, I sat up for many different mayors, and each mayor can run the meeting any way he or she chooses. It's up to the mayor, and if that's the way I respect, he's the mayor. At least he got the most votes to be mayor. Well, we got other mayors that didn't get the most votes who should have been mayor, but we'll leave that go. He's the mayor. He decides to run the meeting. We should respect his decision how to run the meeting. With that, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Halloween, and that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, with the 3 minutes. So we're at 9:30 right now. We come out at 8 o'clock, and
God bless.
If we allow residents to keep coming up, and it was a small, it wasn't that busy today where residents did come up and talk, but there are days where it gets a little lengthy. We could be here till 11 o'clock, and we have been here till 11 o'clock. I sit with other mayors at luncheons and breakfasts, and when I speak to them, and if you go on channel 77 or 76 or 78, these public channels, They all have a time frame. They all have a time frame. Some municipalities don't let anybody come up. There's no answers. They just say, we'll get back to you. So, the 3 minutes, I think, is more than reasonable. You can come on up, you can say what you need to say, and we will answer your questions if need be. We're not here to, stop you from asking questions. So, the 3 minutes is more than reasonable. The dog park. I don't know, we missed it. We missed the grand opening. We talked about it, we spoke about it, and like everything else, curbs came up, garbages came up, water leaks came up in our meetings. A lot of small little stuff that everything gets put on the back burner. We talked about basketball courts at Columbus Field, because there are no basketball courts. So back in the summer, we talked about basketball courts. We haven't seen anything yet. We had to bring it up again today about basketball courts, and hopefully we do get a quote and a drawing on basketball courts at Columbus Field. But, the dog park is a great thing. We're very proud of the dog park. We just missed it. As far as a letter, I missed it too. Not a big deal. I'll put it in the next meeting. But, I don't know if there was, a hidden, innuendo there, but, there's a lot of other things that go on in the city, and not anybody up here brought it up again after the summer. Not nobody. So, because, there are curbs and there are,
Mayor, if I
garbages.
can just interrupt for 1
Sure,
second
Lou,
up to this
sure.
point, I mentioned it to you numerous
Yes, you
times.
did.
Okay,
Yes,
that's
you
all I
did.
want to say.
Yes,
Past the
and that is true.
Thank you, Mayor.
That is true. You did. And, but things come up. So, I would like to have a grand opening, like to get that out of the way before the cold weather comes in.
Should be
And,
up to the whole council.
yeah, and we'll sit together. We have a meeting with the Board of Ed, and maybe somewhere during that meeting, we could come up with the dates. And we'll move on from there.
I think that's great, because
All
everyone
right.
knows.
We missed the boat on this parking. Captain Marsh was talking to me about it. He went to Fort Lee. Fort Lee has all these high-rises, and they have this ordinance in place where, they got parking on the streets, and if you live in a high-rise, you do not get a parking permit to be on the street. That's your spot. And we missed the boat, and I'm glad this is back in there, and hopefully we can move forward with that. With the redevelopment, it's always an emotional issue going on there. And last week it got very emotional. Deputy Mayor couldn't talk. When he was done talking, I tried to talk. People were yelling, standing. Meeting ended abruptly. If we can't talk, then we're just going to end the meeting. We give the respect. Everybody talks. Everybody listens. There should be no reason to be shouted down. It was embarrassing. And, for that, I do apologize. I hope our meetings, we could disagree. I do get it. It gets emotional, but that was uncalled for. And, we're going to move on from that. As far as I still want to talk about the redevelopment. It's something I want. I want redevelopment on Passaic Street. I don't know where everybody was 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when Passaic Street started to turn. Maybe it turned earlier, but now everybody's coming out when things are in motion. Where were you? Where were these absentee landlords as they let their property deteriorate? Now, all of a sudden, we want to move forward, and everybody's coming out fighting us on Passaic Street. And I know, we just don't want this and we don't want that. 15 years ago, I wasn't here 15 years ago. And these questions, you guys should have been here 15 years ago defending Passaic Street. How come we're not fixing Passaic Street? And unfortunately, now we're at the 11th hour, and we need to move forward. We need to move forward. This is a good thing for Garfield. This is a great thing for Garfield. We have a $500,000 grant from National Neighborhood Preservation Program, thank you, where we get $125,000 a year just for Passaic Street, to develop Passaic Street, to bring pride to Passaic Street. You know, there's more crime on Passaic Street than anywhere else in Garfield. And it's just time that, you know, we stop and we move forward and we figure out what is best. You know, that's all I have to say. As far as the town hall, I can't be participating in the town hall meeting, according to our attorney, so, you know, I won't be part of it. I would like to be part of it because I have a lot to say, but I can't be part of it, unfortunately. With that saying, Halloween's coming up. I wish everybody a happy, safe Halloween. I wish luck to the Boilermakers, and motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Who
Second.
seconded it? Anybody?
Joe seconded.